Welcome to We Have a Lot of Board Games, so you get to listen to me talk about them. This seems pretty cool. I wonder if they have this in board game form. Yeah. I think this'll do nicely. Scythe! This 2016 release from Stonemaier Games is designed by Jamie Stegmaier and uses art from Jacob Rosalski. The art and setting for this game was based on the 1920-plus canon created by Jacob as a personal alt-fiction project. It features a post-Great War Europe, complete with unique characters accompanied by animal companions, and everyone has a bunch of big mechs powered by diesel fuel to support their troops in combat. Those mechs are given to each player in this game, along with a faction board and a character mat that tells you which country you'll be representing and the unique powers that they have access to as you explore this massive and beautiful map that reimagines Europe as this collection of angry factions competing for resources and control, especially around the massive factory in the center. The actual gameplay is deceptively simple, considering each player has only 4 primary actions they can take, each offering a secondary action if you can pay the added bonus, though you have to take a different action each turn, so you really only ever have 3 options to choose from. The actions consist of gaining resources based on what's on the space with a worker, paying to gain extra combat power, paying for specific resources, or moving your pieces around the board. This idea of keeping gameplay options simple on a turn-by-turn basis, but leading to a cascading series of events, is something of a trend from Stonemaier Games, and one of the reasons we were drawn to them in the first place. Jamie and Co. are very good at offering a limited scope so as not to overwhelm the player with choice, but the deeper you dive, the more you'll realize the long-term consequences of the decisions you make, and the strategy beneath jumps up to meet you at whatever level you're willing to play it at. Each player mat is also asymmetric, offering both different combinations of primary and secondary actions, as well as changing the costs and benefits of taking secondary actions. Jamie has mentioned before that this game was inspired by Terra Mystica, and if you've ever seen it or any of its re-implementations, you'll recognize the similarities immediately. Both games are heavily asymmetric with the factions that you choose to play, as well as have you moving around a map, locking down spaces by occupying them with the bits that you continually move around or remove from your own board to gain extra income, benefits, and even actions. However, unlike Terra Mystica, this game features combat. Taking a look at the minis and mechs each faction has, you'd be forgiven for thinking this might be something of a war game, but overall our plays, I've actually begun to look at it more as an economic worker defense game where combat is just another strategic way to secure positioning. The combat here isn't the dice chucking you'd find in many war games either, largely revolving around combat cards, which range in value from 2 to 5, with the distribution throughout the deck made clear to each player on the board. Players involved in violence each get a wheel that lets you select how much of your accumulated power to spend on fighting, as well as secretly adding up to 1 combat card to generate your total. The winner gets to stay and banishes the opposing mechs or character back to their home base, not killed, just displaced to a worse position, and the aggressor takes a popularity penalty for scaring off workers. The amount of heads-up information that you have, your opponent's power clearly marked on a track on the board, the number of combat cards they have, and any special abilities around combat clearly revealed, helps with the strategic calculation to be made for when you stand the best chance of victory, or when you can opportunistically strike for a bonus. Eventually, while moving, you'll also stumble over an encounter card. These are marked by small compasses in certain spaces on the map. This is one of my favorite aspects of the game, each offering 3 distinct options based on the scenario depicted in the art. Usually a positive choice, a trade of some kind, and a negative outcome that takes away popularity but provides you a powerful bonus. Another thing to stumble over, or more accurately fight to get into, is the factory square in the center of the map. The esoteric laboratory can be visited once per game by each character mini to nab a factory card. Depicting strange and alien technology, they all provide a powerful additional action you can take on your turn, providing you an easy way to take powerful secondary actions or gain resources. So how do you actually win this game? This game ends once any player places their 6th star on this board. Stars are gained through maxing out actions, such as upgrading all your cubes, recruiting all your cylinders, placing all your mechs, buildings, and workers from your mat to the board, winning combat up to 2 times, and completing each of your secret objective cards, as well as maxing out the 2 tracks, power and popularity. After this point, players are awarded money based on their position on the popularity track for spaces and extra resources they control, as well as stars they placed. That's right. Money is points, meaning it's also viable to just sit back and earn big dollars through powerful actions and end up winning despite not doing much else. The options of path to victory are far from straightforward and helped by the different mech abilities, faction abilities each player has access to, leading to a deeply robust and interesting system of mechanics and options for players to make hard choices with meaningful consequences. Scythe does this while using art from an existing third-party source by commissioning from a talented artist whose world is brought to life through the stories of each unique play of this exceptional pile of cardboard. An incredible example of aesthetics enhancing already masterfully crafted gameplay. I'm so glad we have this in our collection, and I would recommend this to anyone willing to give it a shot.